Welcome to the very first session of DFW! Let's just jump into it, shall we? I don't want to waste anybody's time here. Let's just get straight into it. Session 1 opens with the 4 player characters waking up together in a white void. A dark-skinned woman approaches them, and then turns into a figure that seems to appear like a white chess pawn. The group immediately feel endangered, and they try their best to fight her, but are immediately killed, being level 2, going up against, level 2 with a 0 at the end. The figure kills them with her cube attack, and as they're dying, she says, "I'm sorry, I wish I could help you, but you are like fish flopping out of water, and I am a helpless child being dragged away by her parents. It is pitiful to watch you all squirm for your safety, because we all know there is no hope." The void around them then shatters into pieces of glass, and inside of these shards, the party members are able to see their loved ones. The first shard is of Fizz. He says, "Fina, please don't." And then the shard shatters even further into just specks of dust. The second is of Roland, Rover's father figure, who says, "I have to go back now, kid. I know you can handle yourself." And then that one crumbles further as well. The third is of Lyraver's sister, Walona. She says, "Stay strong, Lyraver. You have great things coming. I just know it." And, just like the others, hers crumbles into dust. The fourth is of Carissime, Novus's girlfriend. She says, "Please, Novus, just..." She pauses, and then the shard shatters. The last one is of a young boy, who just says, "Who is that?" and then points towards the quote-unquote camera, before the shard shatters. As the dust begins to settle to the ground, the players start to give in, feeling themselves become weaker, and they close their eyes. And then all 4 of them wake up, completely unharmed and wherever it was that they had fallen asleep. Our focus will shift over to Rover, who has to go and perform at his Burcoats concert, right after having an encounter with a god. At the concert, he's able to notice Fizz, Azriel, and a woman who's in the crowd. And the woman is really, really, really trying to talk to Azriel, but she's kind of failing at it. She shoots a glance over at Rover, and he seems to recognize her, but chooses to ignore it instead. Rover then gives a little speech before his concert, something that he doesn't normally do. The last time he performed here, he got drunk as hell, and he was also in front of a bunch of toddlers when that happened. So this time, they had better get the hell out. After he's done with his little speech, Rover begins his show. We then cut to Lyra, who has just arrived in Burcoat, and the first people that he meets are Novus and Fidus, who are rummaging around through the dumpster outside of the concert venue. Lyra and Novus quickly recognize each other from their dream. They also very quickly establish that Stolem is not responsible for the Roubalara attack that happened. Novus also seems to recognize Lyra because his sister, Walona, had helped out Novus when he lost his girlfriend, Carissime. It's then that Josephina appears, and she's just petting Desire. She reveals that she was also in their dream and saw them die. However, she wasn't beside them, and was instead standing behind. She wasn't killed by the cubes either, but she supposedly got to die peacefully. And I say that with air quotes because she got, kicked by the lower half of the pawn. And then after this happened, as she fell to the ground, the woman merged into her, so I don't know if I'd call that peaceful, but okay. There's then just a ton of arguing and general nonsense going on. Novus really wants to leave, but Fidus convinced him to stay because Novus can talk to animals. So instead of leaving, Novus rejoins the others. Lyra is busy trying to get Josephina's attention, but she's too busy fangirling and watching Rover from outside of the tavern. And Josephina then has to explain to these uncultured swines who the Rover is and, famous. Novus decides to stay outside and watch Desire and read the newspaper to get caught up on the prophecy, while Lyra and Josephina go inside to retrieve Azriel and Rover once the concert is over. Josephina is just having the time of her life in there, and she's jamming out and really happy that she's getting to go to a Rover concert. Lyra has never heard modern music before, so this is like a whole new experience for him. Showing my knight things he's never seen before. Lyra spots Azrael and goes over to him, and of course we get some more of that whole "you were in my dream" type of dialogue. Novus then bursts into the tavern, having finally realized that the 5 of them are potentially the ones who are in the prophecy. It's then that the concert finally ends, so Josephina tries and actually manages to succeed in getting Rover's attention and getting him over. Josephina is like super into the whole prophecy business, and she is crazy convinced that the 5 of them are the ones who are in it, because there's 5 of them, they had an encounter with God, yada yada yada. None of the others are necessarily buying into it, but they all decide that they'll go along with it anyway, mostly just out of curiosity and wanting to see what's going on. So the group split off to get their things. Novus and Lyra go to get Novus's things from like a tree, while the others go off with Rover to get his stuff. Josephina goes to retrieve her wagon, which Fizz helps to bring over. And then he and Rover see each other, and immediately it is just Pride Month. It's Pride Month. Fizz, despite having dated Rover for 2 whole years, never actually realized that he was a celebrity. But he knows that now, and he asks Rover to sign a photo of the 2 of them making out from when they first met at a photo shoot together. Yeah. So that encounter happens, and then Fizz runs away with his signed little picture, like the thing that he is. Josephina is absolutely mortified to learn that the reason why her brother was gone for so long, at least in her eyes, was because he was busy dating the Rover and didn't tell her. While all of this stupidity is going on, Novus and Lyra are going off to the tree to get Novus's stuff. Novus then takes down his disguised appearance and shows his really weird, like messed up form, and basically tells Lyra everything about how he was attacked by Zorgel, and he was the only one out of the 3 of his siblings to be cursed to become this. Everyone meets up again, but are quickly forced into an encounter with a different party of 5. They are led by Faye, the woman from the tavern. In this party are Osrig, Igna, Snuffles, and most notably, Themaris, the Herring God. They claim to be our competition for the prophecy, but they didn't see God, and they didn't get killed by cubes, so they're insignificant. I'm not even joking when I say they're insignificant, by the way. They actually might get written out of the campaign. Everyone aside from Themaris, I think, might genuinely get written out. Speaking of Themaris, he's a bastard. He's so mean, and he's just a jerk, and he likes to mess with Josephina, and also, they stole Josephina's old wagon, so the PCs have to go get it back. So the party continues onward, and begins to travel through the forest towards Roubalara, because Josephina has some friends there, and I guess she wants to go see them, or something like that, I forget. However, as they're traveling, they come upon a pedestal with 5 blue gems surrounding it. Inside of the pedestal is an Agia. Novus and Josephina both try to grab it, but Josephina is the one who succeeds in the end. However, as she touches it, the Agia starts melting, so she gives it to Novus instead. The melting puddle then hits the ground and causes everything around them to start freezing, and the environment turns to a blue tint. Novus then proceeds to lick the ooze and gets Josephina to do it as well because it quote-unquote made him feel better. I don't know what that means. Everyone then becomes frozen, and suddenly, Deliverer Sprinkle appears, and she approaches the group with a basket of boxes, all of which have names written on them. She pulls out a box, and inside of it is a doll of Josephina. The doll is stupidly accurate, but it has another gem inside of its chest. Then Sprinkle does some, like, freaky Sprinkle doll stuff. She twists the head of the doll, and the gem inside of it starts melting, and some more things happen, and honestly, I don't know how accurate this is to the way that Agias work now. And also, it's confusing to me, even today. Then she leaves, and the party is unfrozen. But all that matters is that, Josephina and Novus, actually, ate an Agia. And so now they can have intramurals. The party then arrives at the absolutely destroyed Roubalara and go into the one building that is still standing, that being a little inn. Inside is super cute. The front desk is adorned with little photos and trinkets, and there are cute little potted plants, etc., etc. Working at the front desk is none other than Ela. She looks exhausted, but perks up at the sight of the party and welcomes them to the Thimble Inn. Lyraver immediately recognizes Ela because her name was on one of the boxes in Deliverer Sprinkle's basket. Rover tries really hard to get him to shut up, but this doesn't really work, and Ela just becomes very, very put off by all of this conversation and asks to know what the deal is. She doesn't get any answers to this, but she does get a whole lot of lies. Novus asks Ela if she had seen a man in a red suit come by. He's probably asking about Sir Pat Zorgal. But Ela did not see that. Instead, she only saw Themerus, who told her to kill herself. The party promises that they'll leave Ela be if she gets them some room, so she starts moving around to get keys and whatever. And there's also this really silly bit that goes on with Ela's grandmother, and there's just a whole ton of shenanigans going on in general. Lyraver goes to his room as the others start drinking with Ela and finds a dark figure that it's not like a shadow, it's more like the figure looks like a galaxy, essentially. But this figure is standing at his door. Lyraver, dumb as rocks as he is, immediately just says, "Hello." The figure looks at him and then turns and walks into Lyraver's room. It's at this point that the others finally join him to see what the heck is going on. The figure is sitting on Lyraver's bed and gives him a map with 5 person icons on it and 5 gem icons. The gem icons are located in Ettenheim, Pacha, Clerics, Caligor, and Solum. And the person icons are in Roubalara, Abskangura, Urkidi, Nalika, and Adacourt. Mikina is the only one that doesn't have one of these and instead has a little smiley face with a thumbs up drawn on. The figure also gives Azrael a dragon egg, which is named Morris. There's like a ton of other shenanigans that happen here with Novus, and I can't be bothered. It takes like 10,000 years, but eventually everybody does go to bed. However, before Rover can, he hears just a ton of commotion and a knock at his door. It is Faye, and she really, really, really wants to talk to him, but Rover isn't having any of it. He tells her to leave him alone, and strangely enough, she actually does. The only other person who doesn't get to have a very peaceful night is Azrael, who has a dream of Abigail, who begins walking away from him. He tries to run after her, the ground crumbling into little puzzle pieces as they do. Abigail stops and lets herself fall underneath the pieces. Azrael jumps in after her and is just about to grab her when he wakes up. The morning starts out with Novus immediately, sabotaging the rival party's wagon to stop them from proceeding. Eventually, everybody wakes up and starts heading out, and Lyraver notices that Ela seems to want to talk about something. She practically begs to come with them because she hates being here and she'd really rather be anywhere else, even if that means having some weird things go on. Without any sort of hesitation, Lyraver allows her to join the party. As they're heading to the wagon, Lyraver starts explaining to Ela what happened with Sprinkle. So, Ela finally got her answer about what the boxes were. Ela then starts talking about how she had a dream with the chess goddess and herself and 8 to 10 other people in the void. I think it was 9. I think it was actually 9. None of these people were the party members, mind you. All of these people got attacked by the chess goddess, but this one had turned into a black pawn instead of the white pawn. She also didn't have a painful death, but instead melted into the ground. I don't really know. That's what she said, not me. By the way, Josephina is drunk. She's drunk as hell, and she has to be helped by Novus in order to get onto the wagon. Azrael and Novus then spot a horned figure in the woods, and it runs away when Lyra and Rover try to see it. Novus does some stuff where he tries to go after and see what's going on, and this is going to be a running pattern with Novus while he's alive. The group begin heading off, but they hear a distant call to stop the wagon. It's Fizz, who literally ran here in order to catch up with them. Fidus goes over to him to retrieve him, and Fizz just kind of lets this dog drag him on the ground over to them. Fizz introduces himself to Lyraver, also while being, gay, he's being gay. He asks to come with them, and Rover immediately says yes. And so, the party continue onward. That right there is where session 1 ends. Full of joy and happiness, and surely there will be great things to come. Right? Right?